Welcome to Azzadous Studios. Today we're going to take a look at using EQ to tighten up your drums. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so I've got a little drum beat here that I've put together in Addictive Drums. And I've got all the channels that I'm using, the kick, snare and hi-hat, going out to separate out, and I'm rerouting them into these audio channels. So I've got the kick just there, the snare, the hats, the overheads, and the room mic. So we're going to start off with the kick. I'm just going to take note of the frequencies here. We can see we've got quite a lot of low end information. And looking up towards the top end, we've got a little bit of a click there. You can see where the click is. That looks a little higher than usual. It's about, I think that's about 3K. So first of all, what I'm going to do is check about 300 to 400 Hertz. This is usually quite a nasty spot for kicks. There's quite a good area to cut out. You can really tighten up your kick just by dropping it a little bit. I'm being quite extreme at the moment, just to show you the difference. You can hear the frequency that I'm cutting out there. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to go for a low cut. And we're just going to cut these extreme lows out. I don't want to be too surgical with it because I still want it to sound like a natural kit. I'm going to leave the slope on 12 dB per octave and cut it about there. Next up, I'm going to look for the click. So remember I said it looked a bit higher than usual. Usually the click's around 2K, which would be just about there. This one we've got, it's about 3K. There we go, just over 3. We've got a bit of a click at 2, but the main click is around 3K. So it's up to you what you want to do with this, whether the kick needs more of a click or less of a click. I'm just going to experiment with this a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to give it a little boost for now and I'll leave it there. Next up, I'm going to check around 60 Hertz to give the kick a little bit more low end. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut slightly just above that. And I think I'm going to take this click out a little bit. It's a bit too much. Now what I'm going to do is high cut. And I want a bit of a steeper slope on this. I'm just going to take out the really extreme highs that I don't need. Okay, so next up, the snare drum. So first of all, what I'm going to do is low cut again. And we don't want to cut off too much of the main information of the snare, which is around 200 Hertz. I think I'm going to change it to a steeper slope again. 18 dB per octave, we'll try that. And as I said, the main punch of the snare is around 200 Hertz. So I want to cut just below that. I want to take all that low end information out. I'm just going to check out this high information. So depending on how you want your snare to sound, you can really mold the sound of it by using EQ. So I'm just going to bring out that punch a little bit more. And just shape the sound a little bit. It's quite subtle. What I'm going to do is take out this high end as I did with the kick. Just the really high stuff. Okay, so next up we're going to look at the hats. So as you can see, we're getting a lot of mid information in these hats. And I want to keep this because we want to keep it sounding like a natural kit. So I do want to tidy it up, but I still want to keep a lot of this middle information. Around there sounds nice, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it down a little bit using a bell curve here, just above the cut. And I'm just going to shape the sound a little bit again. So I like some of this 2 to 3K region, that's sounding nice. And then what I'm going to do is just shape this high end a little bit. I'm going to take down just around 10K, just a touch. Okay, so now the overheads. The overheads are going to contain information from the kick, the snare and the hi-hats. So what we want to do is just tighten this up a little bit. So I'm going to cut these lows. So we're still getting the click of the bass drum coming through, even though we're getting rid of the lows. We're just tightening it up a little bit. So I'm going to bring this middle area down a little bit. Let's try around there. I'm just going to find that snare, bring that down a little bit. I'm just pushing up these highs a little bit and just generally moulding the sound. Another thing I usually do with my overhead mic is pan it the opposite side to the hi-hats. So for instance here I've got the hats 17 to the right, so my overheads have got 18 to the left or thereabouts, so it just gives it a nice balance. So the room mic. The room mic again is going to contain information from the kick, snare and the hi-hats. I want to keep a little bit more of the low end of the kick in the room mic. So I'm just trying to find that low end punch of the kick. I just want the room to have a nice little bit of a thud to it. We still want to get rid of that low end so it doesn't clash. Again, I'm just moulding the sound a little bit, just sculpting the EQ. I'm just going to take this high end out. I'm going to be a bit more extreme with the high end on the room mic. As you can hear, the room mic is adding quite a lot of nice space to the sound. What I'm going to do is add another EQ to the room mic, and I'm going to switch it to mid-side mode. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the low end information out of the sides. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look for this around where the kick is hitting in the mid. Boost that a little bit. And I'm going to cut a little bit of the highs, maybe around there from the mid channel. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and share, and remember to subscribe and ring the bell to keep up to date with future videos. See you next time.